All right, everyone. Well, welcome to the Play to Zero Food Waste Prevention webinar. We will ask that you submit your questions throughout the webinar in the chat to your left, and you can access the recording and the slides after the webinar. We will email them to you post-webinar. If you are interested in subscribing to our monthly newsletter, we ask that you scan this QR code for a monthly upcoming events newsletter to learn everything that's happening in the sports and entertainment industry around sustainability, but also good news around the upcoming 2023 Green Sports Alliance Summit. I am also happy to say that today we have LNS captioning joining us. So if you click that link in the chat, you can have live captioning provided. So thank you, LNS. We are grateful for your partnership and just happy that we can provide an accessible option for our attendees to view and attend the webinar. All right, so I'm excited to introduce our panelists for today's webinar. We will get started with Lily Hurd. Lily serves as ReFed's Capital Innovation and Engagement Manager. She works closely with ReFed's extended network of stakeholders to collaborate and share insights on food waste reduction strategies and to scale on impact. And before joining ReFed, Lily worked in agricultural and nonprofit healthcare sectors. She is passionate about food security, climate change mitigation through regenerative agriculture, and increasing equity and inclusion within the food system. Lily holds a Master of Science in Food Security from the University of Edinburgh in Scotland, as well as a Bachelor's in Psychology and Anthropology from the University of Oregon. Welcome, Lily. Thank you for joining us today. Next, we have Bradley Vogel. Bradley is the Member Services and Events Senior Manager at the Green Sports Alliance. Bradley manages our Play to Zero program, as many of you know, and prior to joining the Alliance, Bradley was the lead U.S. Bank Stadium Sustainability Program. So overseeing the development and implementation of the program, Bradley worked with events like the Super Bowl, the NCAA Final Four, the X Games, and many other events like NFL games, concerts, and more. So Bradley's time at the stadium accumulated with a LEED Platinum certification for operations and maintenance, the first of its kind to receive that distinction. We are welcomed here with Elaine. Elaine is an environmental educator for Broward County Public Schools in South Florida. Her journey to reduce food waste in school cafeterias in Florida has evolved and expanded to spearheading a nationwide campaign to reduce food waste. And that's why we're here today. So thank you, Elaine, for joining us. Food Waste Prevention Week, save the date, April 10th through the 16th, utilizes a multi-pronged approach to raise awareness and inspire behavior change through fun and lighthearted engagement activities and events. And last but not least, we have Ralph Leon with the Miami Heat. Ralph has been with the Miami Heat since 1999 and serves as the Senior Director of Social Responsibility for the team and the Miami-Dade Arena. In this role, Ralph serves as the voice and a champion for the needs of the voiceless in the South Florida community. And his leadership and life's work is reflected in the ideation, implementation, and execution of countless programs and initiatives that help address issues as wide-ranging as inequality, social justice, mental health, education, food insecurity, the environment, and sustainability, among others. So thank you to all of our panelists for joining us today. I am now going to pass things over to Lily as we talk, what is food waste and why should we reduce it?
Awesome. Thanks so much, Shay. It's wonderful to be here. As Shay mentioned, my name is Lily Hurd and I use she, her pronouns, and I'm coming to you today from Portland, Oregon. So ReFed is a national nonprofit organization with the mission to really end food loss and waste across the U.S. food system, and we do that by advancing data-driven solutions. So we are aligned with the UN Sustainable Development Goal to reduce food waste by 50% by 2030, which is fastly approaching. So we're looking to collaborate with any and all types of partners and organizations to pull it off. I'll go ahead and drop our website in the chat just in case you're not familiar with what we do and want to learn more. So yeah, our vision really is a sustainable, resilient, and inclusive food system that optimizes environmental resources, minimizes climate impacts, and makes the best use of the food that we all grow. So at our core, we aggregate and analyze public and private data sets to pull insights about where food is being wasted along the supply chain and why, and then kind of its destination where it ends up going. So we consider ourselves conveners and connectors in the food waste space to help identify opportunities for collaboration across the food system just to make it more sustainable. And one of the ways that we do convene is through our Food Waste Action Network. This is a free network that connects folks in the food waste space or anyone who's interested via networking events, educational lunch and learns, blogs, in-person events, and more. So if anyone in the meeting today is interested in joining the network, feel free to reach out to me via email. I'll also drop that link in the chat just so folks can find out more if they want to. So yeah, at the top of their webinar, Shay shares some really powerful stats about food waste and how much of it happens. So I'll try not to repeat them, but as she mentioned, globally, about 1/3 of all food produced is wasted. So this is equal to $1 trillion in value each year, and about 5% of global greenhouse gas emissions. So another one of the stats that I find the most mind-blowing is that if food waste were a country, it would be the 3rd largest greenhouse gas emitter behind only China and the US. So a lot of emissions go into food production, and then to have them wasted, sitting in landfill, producing more methane, it's really, really bad for our environment. And this is all happening while 1 in 5 or 6 Americans are food insecure. So this is what ReFed fondly refers to as the world's dumbest problem and most solvable problem. So one of the ReFed projects that I'm seeing the most impact from is our Insights Engine. This is an online data and solutions hub for food loss and waste. So it's designed for anyone that's interested in the issue to find more information and insights that you would need to take meaningful action in your work or personal life. So I'll just call out a couple of tools that I recommend folks take a look at it. One is the Food Waste Monitor. So this tool enables you to look at where the most food waste is happening along the supply chain, specifically broken down at a state level, why that's happening, and then where it ends up going, what the destination is. So that could be compost, landfill, food donation, a variety of routes. And then the impact calculator takes that a step further and allows you to model potential impacts if you were to implement a strategy to reduce food waste, and then converts those savings into financial costs, environmental benefit, and number of meals saved. So this can be a super powerful resource for if you're trying to pitch a food waste reduction strategy to management, or just explore potential impacts if you were to implement a plan in your workplace. So we're here to talk about Food Waste Prevention Week, and Elaine's going to talk about that in just a couple of minutes. But because Food Waste Prevention Week is essentially a campaign to raise awareness of food waste and share tips on how people can reduce food waste, both in their homes or in their part of the supply chain, whether it's sports or otherwise, really a no-brainer for ReFed to accept the invitation to join the national planning team. So I think it's a really special opportunity because I know that all the GSA partners on the call today are working day in and day out on various sustainability initiatives. And this 1 week is a really special opportunity to highlight all of the coordinated efforts across the country on the specific topic of food waste and just bring more attention to that issue. So yeah, you'll hear more about how you can get involved and what a partnership could look like for 2023 and beyond in just a couple minutes. But if you do have any questions about food waste, reducing food waste in your operations, or data to help you prove a case point or a business case, I'm definitely your gal. So feel free to send me an email, and I'll make sure that Shay has that to pass along to all of the attendees today. And with that, I will hand it off to Bradley.
Yeah, thanks, Lily, for framing, the context around the issue. And I like how you've described it as the world's dumbest problem, because, when you throw those stats out there, it really it doesn't seem to make any sense all the way across the board. So, but definitely, it is something, especially when we frame this from the sports and entertainment realm, it gets a little bit tricky. So, with that, and as most of these attendees on this webinar know, food waste prevention is just one of many, albeit a very important, sustainability consideration for a venue. Food waste is particularly unique, as Lily alluded to, because there are both social and environmental considerations, aka the amount of emissions that are generated, as well as the amount of Americans or worldwide people that are food insecure. So I mean, we're trying to kind of solve two things at once with that. However, though, these are real issues, and so is waste diversions. And sports have that obligation as stewards and leaders in this field to keep showing what to do with food waste. So this really, it gets tricky within the sports and entertainment world, because there is there has to be enough food prepared and ready for any patron who is willing to purchase that food. So when it comes to planning and purchasing food, things that normal restaurants, households can do, sports facilities aren't exactly the same, because they do have to have that additional level. Saying that, though, having that understanding of how much insight in how much extra food they have, there should be no reason why these organizations, teams, venues, concessionaires shouldn't be, trying to take that food and prevent it from ending up in a landfill, compost facility, and at least trying to allow that food to be eaten. So with that, beyond that, sports venues, they're great at menu planning, procurement, and then really preparation efficiency on top of it. So before we can really dive into any of these initiatives, though, teams need to be able to track how their initiatives are going. So Play to Zero is just one of many tracking tools out there, specifically with the Green Sports Alliance, free with any GSA membership, but it allows you to track energy waste and water, including food waste, as part of your overall greenhouse gas tracking emissions inventory. And with that, though, I want to kind of, take this next slide to really address kind of the champions, already currently in this industry. So really, before diving into champions, I do want to recognize, and Lily alluded to this as well, that there are numerous individuals, teams, venues who are doing this, without any publicity. They are trying to do the right thing just because it is the right thing to do, especially when it comes to food waste. So, for those people who are doing this work, keeping your heads down, really trying to move the industry forward and make sure that we are, giving people a chance to take that food waste, big shout out to those folks. But when we look at it from a public facing kind of perspective, we are very lucky today, as we have the Ralph Leon from the Miami Heat, who can talk about his partnership with the food. Man, I'm just losing my train of thought there. But anyway, so with that, we have the Miami Heat. The last few years, we've seen it all throughout the major leagues within the United States. So the 2023 NBA All-Star Game in Utah, they had a volunteer opportunity where over 500 hands-on volunteers helped with food insecurity and providing essential items for those in need. So really not as much of a donation of the food at the venue for that event, but really trying to get that information out there and really highlight the initiatives from a higher level to solve or help solve those local solutions. This last Super Bowl, 2023 Super Bowl, NFL partnered with the Food Recovery Network. Again, just another resource that is out there for all these teams, entities, venues, etc., to be able to find and end solutions for these types of food. Rock and Wrap It Up is another great provider who have worked with over 70 venues and stadiums over the last 15, 20 years to help donate those types of food. We have Aramark, one of the leading concessionaires, who have committed to cut food waste by 50% by 2023. So we see these examples kind of playing out in real time. And then you have the more individual kind of team level type initiatives, which are all the way across the board. And I'm just going to pick out a few just that I was able to find, via quick Google search, things like that. But the Seattle Mariners, the 2018 Food Recovery Challenge National Award winners from the EPA. Arizona Diamondbacks, with their partnership with Levy, have been able to divert reduce a lot of their food waste as well as donate. US Bank Stadium and their partners with Aramark have been able to do the same, and same with the Minnesota Twins with Delaware North as their concessionaire. So there are champions out there, and as Lily alluded to, there are so many free resources to be able to address this issue. So with that, I'll stop talking. I'll hand it over to the actual experts in this industry. And so I'm excited to introduce Ralph Leon and Elaine Fiore, who have both been leaders in food waste prevention in the respected operations. So welcome, and we are excited to get more in depth on kind of your initiatives and how you are leading this industry.
Thank you very much, Bradley, and thank you everyone for being here today. My name is Elaine Fiore, and as Shay mentioned, I'm an environmental educator, and I also help to spearhead Food Waste Prevention Week. We're thrilled that you're here. As you'll see, Food Waste Prevention Week is it's a unique week that kind of started organically from stakeholders throughout the food system. So I'm going to now tell you a little bit about what we'll cover today. Shay, if you'll go to the next slide. Okay, so today we're going to talk about why you should participate in Food Waste Prevention Week, and you should, because it is a fun week and there's lots of, we've created lots of unique activities to engage people. Also the benefits that being a partner can have to your organization. We're also going to cover what participating in Food Waste Prevention Week could look like for you. It looks different for all of our partners. So what it could look like for you. The process to get started is really easy to be an official partner, and we'll get into that as well. So as we heard from both Lily and Bradley, it's a no-brainer. Food waste prevention is really an underrated solution. It's helping our environment, it's helping our communities, as well as saving money. So we are committed to reducing food waste, and our intention in creating this week is to be of service and to bring value to you. As we've heard, like we know, you all have different, you have your SGE goals, and you are, this gives you an opportunity to amplify your organization's commitment to sustainability, get involved with a larger calling, align with other organizations that have similar sustainability commitments, and have a positive effect on your communities. And we give you different plug and play materials that you have access to as well. So we'll talk a little bit about that. We just wanted to provide you a look at the historical context of Food Waste Prevention Week. We didn't invent it. It actually came from California. We added to it. Tennessee and Oregon all helped in. And we want to show you that the event is a testament to the nationwide spirit of community and collaboration, sharing best practices and ideas to really serve the greater good. And we wanted to give a shout out to our planning team. We have a powerhouse team of leaders throughout the country around food waste. It's important to note that there's a diverse group of stakeholders that are planning, and the benefit is that we're coming at it from different perspectives, all contributing to creating this event. And we wanted to let you know, if you like what you see and you're interested in being part of the planning team for 2024, which is crazy to say, please reach out to us. We are always welcome new voices to the table. So these are some of our metrics from the past 2 years. Over the past 2 years, we've had a 61% increase in our partners, 400% increase in social media reach, and 175% increase in student engagement. We're looking to continue this growth in 2023. Our goal for this year, we set a lofty goal. It's 500. We had 183 partners last year. We're aiming for 500 this year. Currently, we actually have 250 partners. And if you visit our website on the homepage, you can scroll down. There's a map of all of our partners throughout the United States. And once we looked at that, we had our goal of 500. We're like, oh, well, we also need to have a goal of having partners in every state. So the partner map is actually a good resource for you as well. You can click on your state and your area and see if there are other partners within your network that are part of Food Waste Prevention Week that you could collaborate with. So we'll go ahead to the next one. So how could you participate? Ultimately, we mentioned Food Waste Prevention Week is a multi-pronged approach. Ultimately, it is a social media campaign, and to deliver consumer education. The message is spread through all of us, our network of partners that use the communication toolkit that we provide. It has a daily social media calendar. There's templates of newsletter blasts, proclamations, press releases. We don't want you to have to reinvent the wheel. We also want to emphasize that the week, it really creates a space for you to highlight what you're already doing. So we have partners that ask questions. They're like, oh, well, do I have to use all of the posts in the daily social media calendar? No, look at what we have, what aligns with you, and the posts that you like, feel free to use during the week. We also have partners ask, can I just create my own post? Yes, absolutely. We would love for you to feel free to take inspiration from the content that we've provided and create your own post and show what you all are doing as far as reducing food waste in your communities. So in some organizations, the communication department is who you'll be working with, and others you would repost yourself. So we'll get into our theme for this year. We're very excited. So we worked with Oregon's Department of Environmental Quality last year, and they had a research-based, award-winning Bad Apple campaign. So we've worked with that ad agency, Rocket Science. And last year's campaign, we noticed that when we had our social media post and there was some kind of trivia or quiz, people loved it. We did to refrigerate or not to refrigerate. And people are like, oh, I did not know I need to be storing my lemons in the refrigerator. So people learn from playing games. Additionally, Simon Fraser University did some research on awareness campaigns and gamification, and it showed that when there's a gamification piece, it raises the awareness. So our theme for this year is we're having Food Feud. Are you savvier than a fifth grader? Food Waste Jeopardy. So we all know that environmental messaging, no one wants gloom and doom. We want something kind of lighthearted and fun where we can learn things. So that's our theme for this year. So each day is going to feature trivia questions that revolve around the importance of reducing food waste and actions to do so. So I'm not going to show you the website, but you can access. I'm going to ask Lily to put the website in the chat for us. There is when you go on the main page, it's easy to register. It's free, and then there's the partner portal that has all the plug and play resources, our daily social media calendar, a checklist to prepare. Also, we created this year, that's new, it's a food waste trivia bank. And we found that people really respond well to trivia. And so we curated, it was Refed, myself, and Clean Memphis, and Belinda Lee from Simon Fraser curated a list of about 100 food waste trivia questions that you are more than welcome to use as well. And that's all in the partner portal. Okay, so additional, as we said, it's multi-pronged. It's not just a social media campaign. Being an educator, we had to add student engagement. We know kids are also underrated resources. You teach them something, they go home and teach their parents as well. So we have K through 12 contests, and we engage our universities. There's educator engagement. We offer webinars during the week for various stakeholders. We have experts throughout the country that speak. There's also in-person events was something new for us last year that Tennessee implemented. And as you can see to the right, it says Grove to Tap. We're having that in Tampa. But they did bread to tap events. So they would take bread that was going to be discarded and they made it into a brew. They hosted a bread to tap event. They played food waste trivia. They had chefs doing demos and composters there as well. We, along in the partner portal, we have a little bread to tap drop box that has the recipe. If you want to, if at some of your arenas and stadiums, if you have breweries there, if they wanted to do bread to tap, the recipe's there, the checklist on how to host an event, and the trivia questions are there as well. So wanted to share that with you. And then lastly, we have, on the next slide, we have community service opportunities. So the Society of St. Andrew is one of many gleaners. And I didn't really know what gleaning was until a couple years ago. On the farms, if there is food that cannot be harvested, whether it's too expensive to harvest, it goes to waste. So there's volunteer organizations that will come to the farm and they will harvest the food, and the food goes to the food bank. So during Food Waste Prevention Week throughout the country, there will be different opportunities to glean, as well as work with your local community food recovery operations. So with that being said, I'm going to turn it over to Ralph Leone. Ralph and the Miami Heat have been a partner with us since the inception of Food Waste Prevention Week, and they engage the community in different ways, as well as, you know, you'll hear from Ralph, they have their reheat program that they've had for many years. We can amplify that during Food Waste Prevention Week as well. And I'll go ahead and turn it over to you, Ralph.
Thank you, Elaine. Good afternoon to everyone. Well, to everyone at least on the East Coast, and good morning to the rest of you elsewhere. It's extremely gratifying to, first of all, see the list of attendees that are on this call, and see so many, a great cross-section of those in the sports industry as well as the food industry. For those in the sports industry in particular, because I do work in that area, you know, the one thing that I do want to remind you all is the power that we possess, the power to influence, the platform that we hold of millions of followers to be able to talk about subject matters such as what it is that we're talking about here today, whether it's food waste prevention or social justice or mental wellness or on and on. We wield a great deal of influence and to our millions of followers that we have. Certainly we have a multitude of assets in the way of our broadcast to be able to get some of that communication across, whether it's radio or TV, certainly social media. We do have an incredible following. We're fortunate in this industry to have media that follows us on a daily basis to report on just about everything that we do. So there's incredible opportunity to be able to leverage them. And then we do have our athletes, right? We do have these role models that young people look up to and certainly are influenced by, who can exert a certain level of influence. And as we talk about food waste, there's also opportunities to be able to, for them to talk about, to have space in this, to talk about these kind of issues in this space in particular. So let's not lose sight of the fact that we wield a great deal of influence and the platform that we so hold. With that said, and our first foray into Food Waste Prevention Week dates back to 2021. Where we held a service project with a local organization called Health in the Hood. Now let's remind ourselves, this was kind of in the backdrop of the murder of George Floyd in 2020, and we were certainly in the throes of COVID. And so we weren't in our buildings, right? We weren't in a traditional arena. So this was, for us, it was an opportunity to be able to engage our staff out in the community. And so we did so by working with this local organization that actually creates gardens, sustainable gardens in inner city areas. And so for us, it was not only an opportunity to talk about food waste, but to also kind of at the intersection of George Floyd, talk about the inequities that exist in our societies, right? Food deserts in inner city and urban areas. And so for us, it was a wealth of information that we were able to kind of talk about all in one event. And certainly address and utilize our platform to be able to tell that story to our audience. As we kind of progressed into 2022 and we moved back into our buildings and we started to host fans, that message transitioned from an activation, a hands-on activation, to more so messaging in arena to talk about food waste and some of the things that our fan base can do to help reduce that. And as we look to today, in 2023, and what our plans are moving forward, we've kind of tapped one of our most popular players in Udonis Haslam to record a PSA that's still in the works that will help talk about food waste, and again, some action points for our fan base, for our viewers, to be able to kind of mobilize them and get them involved, get them educated as it relates to this. But at the heart of kind of what we've been doing, even though we've only been directly working with Food Prevention Week for the last several years, you know, this effort really for the organization dates back many years, and you know, I'll go back to 2003 when I kind of started kind of studying what we could do and assessing some of the organizations that were doing some of this work in the field, and trying to kind of templatize or model some of what it is that they were doing, taking some of the best practices from them and how we could implement something like that here at the Heat. You know, for one of the things that I saw was it was heavily lenient on volunteer work, and so I wanted to try and create something in reheat, which what ultimately was born was the our reheat program. The objectives were to obviously for one, reduce food waste, but two is do something for the greater good. Miami is one of the most impoverished urban markets in the entire country, and so food insecurity is at the top of those needs here in our community. So how can we create something, a model that could take some of our unserved food in the arena and repurpose it to help that particular audience, right? But that it could also not be taxing on any one particular party in that chain, but that it's sustainable in the long run. And so, as well as, and of course, for those in the sports industry, at the end of the day, we're a business after all. And so we're trying to find ways to create inventory, to monetize. And if our owner sees Ralph just giving away money left and right, which is part of the work that I do in social responsibility, I probably wouldn't have a job. But so it was important to create a model that was a win-win-win all around for all the parties involved, and that there was value for everyone involved. And so born out of that was Reheat in 2008. And in essence, as I mentioned earlier, it's taking all of the leftover unserved food from our heat games, as well as our concerts and shows that we have year round at the arena, and repurposing them, and they go directly to homeless shelters for the most part. We have 4 beneficiaries in that space, in the Miami Rescue Mission, Chapman Partnership, Camilla's House, and Lotus House. And so what does that look like? For one, step one is post-game is there's a team from our in-house catering partner, Levy Restaurants, who scours some of the concession stands and collects all of the food that was not served that evening, puts them into aluminum tray pans, and they bring it down to the Levy warehouse downstairs. They actually measure all of the pans so that we have so that we know exactly on a per game basis how much food it is that we're donating. After that takes place, that we actually store that overnight in our refrigeration system for collection the following morning by any one of these 4 entities. And when I say, I didn't want to be taxing on any one particular party, I didn't want to rely on just one beneficiary to have to come almost every other night, because in an arena such as ours, we're extremely active, and whether it's a concert or a game, there's usually something going on every single evening. So having to come late in the evening to come collect some of that food on an everyday basis could be extremely taxing on some of these organizations. And so we spread the wealth by reaching out to 4 different organizations. So it wasn't taxing on any one in particular. And so it was incumbent on them to be able to come the next morning, pick up the leftover food, bring it back to the facilities, obviously take an inventory of what they have, and whether it's to serve it that same day or refrigerate it for the following day and incorporate it as part of the planning for what's going to be served to their clients the following day. They saw an incredible value in that, and they automatically bought in. And so we've been doing this now since 2008. To date, as of last week, we've donated close to 75,000 pounds of food over that time. Over the last 4 full seasons, not counting for the 2 COVID years where our building has been kind of half empty, we've averaged close to around 6,700 pounds of food donated over the course of that year. And so it's been extremely gratifying work. It's been extremely, like I said, we needed it to be a win-win-win all around. And so I'll go to kind of return on investment, right? And so this has been a boon when we talk about kind of on the business side how we view this. And so for us, I was able to create a saleable inventory for our corporate sponsorship team to be able to go out and solicit partnership and partners who are willing and want to align themselves not only with just us, but who at their core are affiliate and are adamant about sustainability and the environmental efforts down here, and in particular down here in South Florida, because we're at ground zero for many of the ill effects of climate change. And so, over the course of that time, we were able to, bring in about sponsorship dollars. And when you factor in that at the end of the day, there's very too little cost associated with this. Certainly the food itself is not of any cost to us in the heat. We're talking about pennies in terms of some of the modes of transportation as it relates to the aluminum trays over the long term. For these homeless shelters, it was a boon for them because now they were able to help mitigate some of their own costs in terms of food. And so it was an all-around win-win for all the parties involved. And so with that said, we look forward to continue to grow this, and we've seen exponential growth in terms of our shows and being more efficient. Now that we've been measuring kind of how much food waste there is, our partner in Levy Restaurants becoming more aware of what that waste is and how they could kind of scale some of that back. But it's all around, it's an incredible collaborative effort on the part of all parties involved. I'm look forward to seeing some of you all in the sports industries and arenas across the country be able to implement similar programs. And I'd be happy to help, be able to be a resource to you all should you have any questions. My emails are leon@heat.com. And with that said, I'll pass it back to Elaine.
Okay, thank you so much, Ralph. And Ralph is, he really is a huge help. Our first year, we also partnered with the Tampa Bay Lightning, and the Tampa Bay Lightning was interested in learning more about recovering food. So Ralph's team met with them to have conversations. So he really is a great resource. Thank you. And also, we want to give a shout out to our Tampa Bay Lightning. They partnered with us. This is the third year as well. And what they did was they created some of their own posts. They worked with their partners, and because it's a social media campaign, they encouraged their followers to repost during the week, and they would donate for every post that was reposted. They donated $10 to Feeding Tampa Bay, so they ended up to 50, so they donated $5,000 during that week, and that's how they engaged. But we wanted to give you a few ideas of ways that your team can engage. One, as Ralph mentioned, and we were so excited about UD doing a 30-second video for social media in the Jumbotron. If you're able to do that, of course, that's wonderful. We do have a script as well. So there's some, if you look in the attachments, the ways that your team can engage, that's a flyer that's in there. We have a script, like a script template that you could feel free to use, and some other things that we'll have on our website as well. Promoting Food Waste Prevention Week on the marquee, the Jumbotron, as you can see here, arena signage, your fan newsletter. Obviously, really, number 3 really should be number 1 is partner. Follow us at Food Waste Prevention Week, register as a partner, and then check out the toolkit. Any resources that are there that will help you during the week, please feel free to use. They're there for you. And then we'll have you go to the next slide for 4 and 5. Community service, we mentioned there's going to be gleaning and opportunities, volunteer opportunities with the local food banks and pantries. This is a picture, as Ralph mentioned, to the left, that's a picture, and it was April 2021, and that was the event where we went out and had the volunteer gardening event. Halftime games, usually during halftime, I don't know what the proper term is, if it's the MC goes around with a microphone, asks trivia questions, people win, they get excited. Well, during Food Waste Prevention Week, we have a bank of 100 food waste prevention questions. We also made a deck of like the top 10 food waste questions. That's all there for you to consider as well. So I'll have you go ahead to the next slide. And so what do you need to do to sign up? Go to the website and register, come up with a plan. You can engage. That's the beauty of Food Waste Prevention Week. You have so many different activities, whatever you want to do. If you want to start small this year, plan bigger for 2024, create your plan, engage with us on social media. And if you're able to share, we do have our partner goal of 500 partners. If you want to invite your network to join us for Food Waste Prevention Week, we'd appreciate it. So we'll go to the next slide, sponsorship. As you may or may not be aware, we are a small and mighty operation. So if you feel that engaging in Food Waste Prevention Week will bring value to you and you're able to do so, we greatly appreciate your sponsorship along with your partnership. So I will, and I think you can contact me through the website if you have questions, you want to chat. Also, my email Shay will share my email as well. So I'll turn it back over to Shay, and then we're happy to answer any questions you have. Thank you.
Thank you, Elaine. Before we go into Q&A, I just wanted to shout out some things that are coming up with the Green Sports Alliance. So as always, our resources are available, case studies, playbooks, and all of our webinars on our website, greensportsalliance.org/resources. You can access all of our recordings from our webinars dating back to 2014 on our YouTube. So you can check those out as well. I'll enter that in the chat. And if you haven't heard already, the 2023 Green Sports Alliance Summit will be hosted in Seattle, Washington from June 26th to the 28th in partnership with the Oakview Group and Climate Pledge Arena. And for this 12th annual summit, we are bringing together stakeholders in the sports and entertainment industry as we move toward a collaborative climate action. So we hope that you join us. Early bird registration is launched until March 31st. So head to our website, greensportsalliance.org/summit, and you can register now for day 0, day 1, and day 2. And I'm going to kick